Hi, this is Dan from NoDivorces, and well, I'm in the backyard again, except I went back to the chair I usually sit in over in the garden, and it had a big puddle of water on it. So I thought, okay, well, the water's on the right side, I'll sit on the left side. And as I sat down, I dumped the water out first so it wouldn't go back the other way, but it seemed like it was determined to find my pants anyway. And soak me as I was sitting in it. So wasn't too pleased about that. So I came and sat on a step stool out here in the backyard. So, but it was quite sunny out here, especially for April. We've been getting a lot of electricity on our panels on the roof of our house, and getting up close to 50 kilowatt hours per day, and that's a pretty good number actually. So we're pretty happy about that. Um, and even with that, our our PG&E bill in Central California is stupidly high, because well, the gas from the previous, using it for the hot water heater and the, it seems like no matter what, they'll gerrymander anything to get to find some way to get to soak the people here, even though Fresno's not a very wealthy area. Um, about 80% or so, somewhere around 80 or somewhere, a high percentage of people in a big part of Fresno are below the poverty level. Actually, uh, we're we're kind of in a normal area here. It's not a super fancy or super nice place. It's just an ordinary, 3-bedroom house, basically 1,500 square feet. A little smaller than the average one. Average might be about 2,000 square feet. So, but I'm thankful. We've had Eileen loves the um, the garden area and around the house, and um, we feel blessed to be here. I was brought home here when I was born. Um, anyway, what is today about? I started thinking about, oh, ooh, I just saw a strawberry. Okay, I got distracted here. um, well, quite a full-grown strawberry there, and there's another one in the back. They're starting to kind of come out. We've got them a number of them around the house actually, and we've got some raspberries that are going to come out before too long. Uh, and of course, the roses are all. These roses haven't shown up. I mean, a few of them, but um, we could see a lot of them are yet to come. And out in the front, we've got tons of roses, and on the side of the house as well. Um, I just totally enjoy. My wife totally enjoys working on the garden. She loves gardening, and I love seeing the results. She's pretty amazing. Um, so anyway, I was thinking about relationships, how people get into relationships, and one common thing is, you know, uh, people view uh, relations as, you kind of wonder, why do people get into premature sex, actually, premarital sex? And a lot of people think, well, why be judgmental? Why be prudish? Why even question about it? Like, what's the big deal? Um, isn't that a kind of an old-fashioned, outdated thing? Because it seems like today everyone kind of expects it. And as you start to think about it, why do people get into it? And somebody say, well, the answer is obvious. It's um, it's an enjoyable pleasure. And then you look at it objectively. If you're honest about it, there are risks. Everybody knows the risks. Um, You have STDs as a possibility, and you've got, you know, the downsides. You've got the chance of an unwanted pregnancy, and then there's a whole contention over whether it's a woman's right to kill her baby or not. Because, you know, is it her body or is it the baby's body? Who has the right to tell her yes or no? Well, and then there's yet the life of the child inside. So there's a lot of contention over things like this. We know, everybody knows this. I mean, we're familiar with it, but then it makes you wonder, well, why do people really get involved in it? And we could say, well, you know, all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. So we know it's a common thing that people do fall into this. They'll get into one relationship with one partner, then they'll, after having premarital sex, they'll break up. And then the next relationship will be more difficult to say no, because then they say, well, you won't sleep with me, but you slept with your last partner and the one before and the one before. Do you love them more than you loved me? And it becomes psychologically difficult, you know, to say no. It forms a pattern. You kind of get sucked into it, and how to break this slavery to the expectations, because I would dare say not everybody really wants to give up themselves this way. The old standard was to wait until you get married, and then people ask why to do that, and yet, if people are really genuine, they probably know lots of reasons why, if they're honest, and yet they would kind of dismiss the reasons, and they would, but it would be a disingenuous dismissal. I've noticed lately swearing has been a very common thing, and it's hard to break that habit when you hear it all the time, and sometimes you slip, and you know, when things, you know, when you get frustrated or angry about things, but other people just use the most foul language all the time. So you kind of wonder why. What's all this going on? What is the cause of, in this case, premarital sex? And I think a lot of times it may be that we don't feel fulfilled until we find our fulfillment in someone else, whether it's our children, whether it's a partner. And when it comes to premarital sex, I think it's a way of locking ourselves into a kind of a promise, because there's something inherent in the sexual relationship that is basically a promise, a heartfelt or understood, unspoken promise, a statement of, well, I belong to you and you belong to me, and therefore we're establishing a something secure, supposedly secure. It's a false sense of security because there are no real promises behind it. It's just a feeling. And still the same thing goes on with, for instance, with pornography. Somebody feels they don't feel adequately fulfilled, and they find their shortcomings in another person. So they become enslaved into something else, and that would be kind of a premarital sex relationship. Even if they're just looking at pictures and there is nothing there, it's just a simulated thing, a second-rate thing. When I believe God created us to, you know, created men for women and women for men. There was interdependency. It's not a codependency, but an interdependency that is appropriate and healthy. Now, if one passes away, or it's not like there's this thing about neediness and self-respect that if I'm giving myself away to this other person because I'm needy, then it's like, well, yeah, they could take me and use me and throw me away as they wish. I've given them the power to decide over me. I become their kind of their slave, so to speak. Whereas when a relationship is a marriage, you're actually doing it with more intention, with more. It's meant to be something of higher integrity. It's a promise. And we know that when it comes to no-fault divorce, we know that's a lie in and of itself, because we know the marriage promise is a promise. And obviously, if our word is worth anything, our promises are to be kept. We're laying a foundation into which children can be born, and they would have security, knowing the parents they're committed to one another in sickness and in health, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, till death do us part. They're setting up a firm foundation for the children to be born into. And they're seeing an example of what it is to be a man, what it is to be a woman. They could see the contrast between the two. So this is something of value. And when it can be discarded, why? It's basically discarding the needs of the children for maybe a roll in the hay, or just feeling like you want to get out of the relationship, or you're bored with it. You want to find something more fulfilling because you haven't found your needs met in the other person. Well, the problem is you don't find all your needs met in the other person. You never will. And if you change partners, it'll be the same thing again and again and again. So keeping the promises of marriage, and just considering that that's a done deal, that's already locked in. Don't consider divorce. Just consider it locked in, that you're not going to change. If the marriage, make a determination, if this marriage ever ends, it will not be my doing. I will not betray my spouse. I will not betray my children. If we would all make that promise to ourselves and to our family and live by it, divorce rates would drop. If we would promise to do what we believe is in the best interests of our family, we would deliver love. Love is not something you just feel. It's not your goosebumps. It's not your Disney happily ever after situation. It's a commitment. Love is to be delivered. It's a thing promised. It's a promise to be delivered on. And if we're jettisoning our promises, then what is our worth? I mean, what is the word of our worth of our word? How do we view ourselves? Do we view ourselves as people of our word, as honorable people, or people who will lie to others to get what we want? And I think that's what it really comes down to. Will we lie to others to get what we want? Will we betray our marriage vows? Will we betray our children? Will we betray our families? Will we set a bad example for others? Or will we build our marriages up, or build our families up? And I think this is a choice we have to make. What do we want to be? How do we want to see ourselves? Now, people can say what they want about us, and it doesn't matter. But if we know ourselves, we know the truth about ourselves, and we know that we're not honorable, how is that going to go for us? Will we be okay with that? I tend to think we won't truly be okay. We may say we're okay. We may kind of cheapen ourselves and cheapen the value of our word and jettison our promises all the time. But when it really comes down to it, I don't think we'll be satisfied with that. I think we need to stay true to our word. I'm going to have to go in. We have yellow jackets out here on the raspberries, and I don't want them one of them to light on me and light me up. So, okay, well, you have a great day. Thanks so much.